Shalom, giving all praises to Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai, and double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. May Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai Barakatham to you, hopefully elect. I'm your brother Yahweh Call from the Great Millstone, Orlando. And I just got I got this article here, as well as a few videos. I'm just going to touch on real quick. It seems Esau, the elites, are at work. It seems that they're cooking something up. They're up to something, which they're always up to something. I'm going to grab this real quick. In the book of Micah. That's why you got to keep a watchful eye. Dealing with Esau, man, and what he's got going on. Because hey, he's a sly devil. He's a cunning, conniving devil. Micah chapter 2, verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. So, I say this often, being that Esau, he's a madman. He's a mad scientist. The spirit that's in him is not upright. Because, when Jake, something that for the most part happens, it's just a natural spirit of sorrow when we go off. Naturally, for the most part, we have a bit of a contrite spirit, but it's the complete opposite with Esau. That's why I started off with that this here Micah 2:1, because again, he's the complete opposite. All right, if he didn't commit enough wickedness, it's like he can't get over himself. He has to do wickedness. That's why on the long run, Yahweh Shai, man, has to come and take this man out of power, because he's bloodthirsty. He can't get enough. If Yahweh Ba'Hashem Shai allowed Esau to continue on, man, like the Lord said, by the time he came back, there would be no one to be saved. Because Esau would end up destroying everybody, even himself. So, again, Yahweh Shai has to cut him off. He has to pluck him up from the roots, man. Because again, man, he can't. It fucks with his conscience if he doesn't do enough wickedness. Just the same way, like I said, if Jake does something wrong, it can oftentimes, we can beat ourselves up a little bit. We can condemn ourselves. But Esau, he's a complete opposite. It fucks with his conscience if he hasn't committed enough wickedness. So, just with all that being said, man, like I said, that's why you got to keep a watchful eye with this devil. There's a lot of sleight of hand and a lot of distractions that he puts out there. But behind closed doors, somewhere where no one's looking really, other than the prophets, and he's up to something. And we know that at any day now, at any moment. That's why the scriptures tell us, as children of the light, not to walk in darkness, not to be ignorant of these things. Because Lord, one of that day doesn't catch us like a thief in the night. It's any day now, man. So with that being said, like I said, I got this article here. I'm not going to get into it, but it seems this situation dealing with the sea cables in the Red Sea, being being messed with again. As I got its article, undersea cables cut in the Red Sea disrupted internet access in Asia and the Middle East. So, like I said, I'm not going to read the article, but I might read some of it, because some services were impacted, like it says here. Microsoft announced via a status website that the Mideast may experience increased latency due to undersea fiber cuts in the Red Sea. The Redmond, Washington-based firm did not immediately elaborate, though it said that internet traffic not moving through the Middle East is not impacted. And of course, like I said, because this event situation took place, I believe, sometime last year, dealing with these Red Sea cables. And of course, the whole conflict with the Houthis and the Yemen, it was being blamed. And it seems like that's the narrative yet again, although they're claiming they had nothing to do with it this time. All right. But nevertheless, it's happening again. You see, so with that being said, because again, Esau's up to something. All right. Esau's up to something. I'm gonna play this quick. It's a quick short. Trump said a while ago
that behind the scenes, the technical backbone of the financial system is decades out of date, many, many years out of date. You know that. Paul and others are straightening it out, but payments and money transfers are costly and take days or even weeks to clear. Under this bill, the entire ancient system will be eligible for a 21st century upgrade using the state-of-the-art crypto technology. Who would have thought we would have been saying that? Many Americans are unaware that behind the scenes, the technical backbone of the financial system is decades out of date, many, many years out of date. You know that. Paul and others are straightening it out, but payments and money transfers are costly and take days or even weeks to clear. Under this bill, the entire ancient system will be eligible for a 21st century upgrade using the state-of-the-art crypto technology. Who would have thought we would have been saying that?
So, what's going to be the solution because, in the name of convenience, or in other words, safety and security, peace and safety, right? One of those means, because, you make a purchase, you decide you want a refund, right? You got to wait 5 to 10 business days or whatever the deal is, right? Well, what's going to be the solution to the fast action transaction? Fast action transaction is going to be, as we know or should know by now, the MOTB. All right. Now, this was dealing with the Genius Act, if I'm not mistaken, a few months back. Trump was going into how, and again, that's why you got to watch these devils, because they put dates out there, they put a time frame and this and that. And it just so happened that I seen this clip, I believe today or yesterday, because they were talking about, what were they talking about, man? The big transfer flop or flip or something along that lines. Basically, the transition into this new system, right? That's how it's an orchestrated chaos. Esau, he always does these predictions. Let's say they do some sort of a pandemic training exercise. They predict there's going to be such and such amount of deaths, and they always have these predictions and things of that nature. And you got to ask the question: how do they know? How are they able to make such predictions? Well, again, it's a controlled chaos. All right, it's a controlled chaos. So whenever they put out these specific dates, time frames, or whatever, don't get too caught up in, because everything's ultimately on the Lord's time. All right, but just one of those things, again, as I always say, it could be something, could be nothing. That's pursuant to Sirach. Not being ignorant of anything small, any matter whether it might be big a big matter, small matter, all right. But nevertheless, stay on your watch, because again, Esau, he's making these moves because the time frame they were given dealing with this whole transition was September, and we're in the month of September. You know, of course, they've been talking about, you know, these months coming up, these upcoming months, man. September, October, November. It's supposed to be, you know, particularly events and things of that nature. Certain things are supposed to go down or whatever, but of course, we just have to wait and see. But one of the things that they were talking about as far as this season that we're, you know, coming into, you know, September, October, within these few months, man, they were talking about this transition into this new system. All right. The biggest, I believe he said, the biggest financial flip or something along that lines he was talking about not too long ago. So, you know, like I said, man, it's some things going on, you know, through the power of the left hand of Yahweh Shema Shai. You know, Esau, he's making moves. All right. But I'm gonna play this here, some of it.
Cyber attacks are striking multiple cities, and there's been a warning that's come out, and something strange is happening at the same time where we get DMVs targeted, and we get the city of St. Paul slowly getting back on after a cyber attack, and that's in Minnesota where this actually is at, and the military had to go there to restore services. So what's interesting though is what they targeted. This is strange. When they targeted this area of Minnesota, we're going to talk about what they specifically hit. The military says while the situation is ongoing, surge support the Minnesota National Guard cyber team provided to the city of St. Paul was no longer required. Minnesota National Guard is proud of the work that was conducted. Now, the hackers actually went and got parks and recreation documents and IDs. And I asked the question, I said, why would they need to get parks, you know, recreation IDs? And then when we think about this, parks and recreation departments are also often on the same municipal network as water utilities. So they could have secretly went in and quietly went in and got some of the water utilities back door, and DMVs has facial recognition and all this other stuff, and they can map out basically the population by getting all this information. Black market being sold is just another thing. The other situation here is another situation where the military is flying over Philadelphia. What's going on here?
New video tonight shows a military helicopter in Charlottetown. It comes as the Department of Defense is conducting training and drills in the city through Saturday. An Action News viewer sent us this video of a helicopter near 7th and Ray Street tonight. We also spotted 2 helicopters near the United States Mint in Old City. This is close by to some residential areas. Officials said the exercises are to prepare for several events related to the nation's 250th birthday next year.
So you see, man, because they're always training. But again, you got to ask the question, what are they training for? There's always some exercise. And even more so in for the inner cities. This is, I mean, it's no coincidence. You know, they take people from the you know, outskirts, move everyone into the mainlands. You know, or rather the inner cities and things of that nature. Of course, for more to you know, surveil more. You know, it's easier to surveil when you have everyone stacked up like sardines, which is going off pursuant to Isaiah the 5th chapter. You know, but again, to pose a question, what are they training for? Why are there's always these exercises going on? You know, just things that make you go, You know, but Esau's plotting something. He's planning something. You know, it's no coincidence. Again, you know, Trump, he's in the name of a national emergency, right? Which goes against the which you people are about to find out you have no rights. You're gonna find that out real soon. All right. Hell, Trump sent the warning because you got Jake talking shit out there in Chicago, because that's supposed to be the next place Trump is going to send these troops. And you got Jake out there talking shit You know, y'all, you better not send no troops up, man. Jacobs better get mowed down, man. All right, point blank, simple, period. All right, but Trump, hey, Trump said it, hey, you about to find out. You know, not so many words. Trump said, hey, y'all about to fuck around and find out, man. You know, but again, because, you know, Apostle Tar, he was talking, he did a video. He was doing did a video going into the protests and the seditions out there in Indonesia. All right. I'm gonna read this in the description, but like I was saying, because I don't want to, you know, play the whole video. I'm gonna just read the description. But like I said, I mean, it's obvious, you know, it's clear, it's evident. Esau, from all this military training, military movement, all right, deploying of troops, it's obvious, man. The devil's getting ready to come down with that great wrath. Like I said in Revelation 12, it's obvious. It's just a matter of the right event. All right, because going back to what I was mentioning with the Apostle Tahar, how he did his video going into what's going on over there in Indonesia, because it's like, what is it going to take for these simple Americans? What is it going to take? You know, here it is, people in these other nations, they protest, they tear shit up for real, for a lot less. So what is it going to take for these simple Babylonians to get roused up, to rise up, especially Esau? Like, what are you waiting on? This is your kingdom. When are you going to start? When are you going to fight? You know. But basically over there, same shit this is going on over here. The inflation. All right. You know, people are tired of being broke. You know, so hey, they're taking means into their own hands, take it to the streets. You know. So, you know, it only makes sense. Esau again, Trump, he's deploying these troops, man. He's setting the stage. That way, in whatever the situation may be, whatever the situation may be, whatever the Black Swan event may be, all right, you know, the military will already be in place. All right, and my bet is going to be some form of economic collapse. That's my guess. I mean, it could be a number of things. All right, the weather disasters. It could be an invasion. All right, you know, these sleeper cells finally getting activated. All right, domestic attacks. I mean, it could be a number of things, but my guess is some form of an economic collapse. Because, you know, one thing about these Americans, they can't go without eating. So when you mess with their money and their ability to get food, because again, these people they don't know how to fast. That'll be my guess. You know, that's my best guess. All right, you know, with all this inflation, which is going to soon lead to hyperinflation. All right, you know, just the fact that the way of living as it is already ridiculous, man. You know, it's like, man, this is no way of living. You know, but hey, the Wadi How Bashim Al Shah, we've been given the heads up already about these things that's coming. All right, we're more and more we're living through it. All right. But hey, Yahweh Shema Shah, he promised that someone was going to eat during the time of famine. Yahweh Shema Shah, he made promises. I'm going to get this real quick. Because when it gets bad, and it's going to get bad, it's being said, because I've touched on this over the weeks, dealing with the, you know, possible coup, you know. It's being said that Trump, the way that his health is declining, he doesn't have long to live, so he has to make. There's all type of things being said, but like the scriptures say, rumors, right, and then violence shall suddenly break out. Roughly paraphrasing. So eventually, all right, eventually, you know, this shit is going to give in. Something's going to give in. All right, but it can play out a number of ways. But again, Yahweh Shema Shah promised, he made promises, all right, to his elect. 2 Esdras 9:7, and everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith, whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. So, to the hopeful elect, you know, we just got to continue you just got to keep on keeping on in Yahweh Shema Shai. All right. have faith. Stay in tune. I always say, don't let Yahweh Bashim Shai get unfamiliar with your voice. You don't want to be one of those that it's like you hear this 15 laters, and that one individual that you haven't spoken to in 15 years since high school, he just calls you up out the blue, and you're like, who is this? You don't want that to be your case with Yahweh Bashim Shai. So stay in tune, all right. And that way, hey, Lord willing, we're going to be preserved from the said perils. So Yahweh Shema Shah, one way or the other, he's going to provide a safe passage. He's going to provide a safe way for his elect. All right. So Lord willing, we don't have nothing to worry about. All right. Because, hey, blowing the trumpet, man. Hey, sounding the alarm. Hey, the enemy's coming. All right. And he's coming from all sides. He's coming from all angles. You see. And as we always say, in order for them to bring in a new system, they have to crash, do away with the old system. So with all this being said, all this plotting, devising, all right, Lord willing, sooner than soon, Esau, he's getting ready to make his move. But I'm going to read this. It says, cyber attacks are striking America. And this is just of the latest. You had the cyber attacks going on all over America alone. I believe you had some out there in Nashville, if I'm not mistaken. All right. Just imagine, just imagine, because like I said, just my speculation, when people can't access the money and they can't pay for food, that'll be the Lord willing to start to break the camel's back. So just imagine that, wake up one day and your account, or hell, you can't even access your account because, hey, they finally hit that kill switch, and again, just speculating, man, that'll be the final straw to break the camel's back, man. Get these people roused up, because there's cyber attacks going on all over the world, but specifically here in America, that's not being reported on. So this is just of the latest, all right? But it says cyber attacks are striking America, shutting down government systems, disrupting utilities, and forcing agencies to admit vulnerabilities, from DV shutdowns to state servers going offline. Experts warn the U.S. is facing a new wave of coordinated digital warfare. At the same time, military helicopters are being spotted over major U.S. cities, and National Guard units are being deployed into urban areas. So you see, all right, bypassing what these people believe to be their rights, right? And then in the guise of national emergency or whatever. All right. It says, officials claim it's a routine training or crime control, but the timing alongside cyber attacks has raised alarms. Because that's the thing, the timing of all this, all right? The timing of everything, man. Again, you got to keep an watchful eye on Esau. He's up to something. It says, but the timing alongside cyber attacks has raised alarms. Are we witnessing isolated events or a larger operation quietly unfolding across America? Because cyber warfare's critical infrastructure threats and sudden military mobilizations all be connected? Like I said, man, things that just make you go, And why are warnings now surfacing about water systems, drones, and foreign interference? Something strange is happening, and it may affect every American. All right, so you go watch this video by JWTV. Now you can finish the video. Jake, for the most part, always brings out useful information. All right, that could be ciphered through the scriptures. But Esau is definitely up to something, man. All right. Get this last video, because this is going on in
17 people
in Nepal. All right. So basically, you had protests because they were, I'm talking about it. Let me just play the video.
People were killed and dozens injured in Nepal after protests erupted over a social media ban. Protesters stormed the parliament complex in the country's capital after lawmakers issued bans on platforms that had failed to register and allow for government oversight. CBS News correspondent Chanel Call is following the story for us from the CBS News Broadcast Center. And Chanel, what is the latest on all of this?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of tension and anger around that social media ban, Mugo. A really fluid situation in Nepal's capital city, Kathmandu, today. I want to show you some video from the scene so you can see the real size and scope of these protests. We're talking about tens of thousands of people that took part in this, many of them young people in the country, and they were seen, Mugo, pushing through barbed wire, pushing through barricades, and then storming the Nepalese parliament building. Now, at first, police were there. They tried to fire tear gas, they used water cannons, but they were simply outnumbered by this massive crowd there. Eventually, they had to resort to using force. The commissioner's office says, opening fire at some of those protesters. So we know, latest count, that at least 17 people were killed and 145 people were wounded in those clashes, Mugo. That also includes 28 police officers. So what's happening here? Well, at issue is the Nepalese government's decision to now block a lot of social media platforms in the country. That's what these people are protesting against. Now, some in the crowd were actually heard chanting, "Stop the ban on social media, stop corruption, not social media." So the government is saying that it sent about 24 social network platforms that are used in Nepal notices last week that what they had to do was now register their companies in the country and also submit to some government oversight. The government is saying they're doing this to sort of safekeep social media companies. TikTok, Viber, and 3 other platforms, did do that. They did comply with those notices. So right now, they are still available in Nepal. But the companies that did not do this, including Facebook, X, and YouTube, those have now been blocked. So this is all stemming from a bill that the government says is made to sort of ensure that social media platforms are, quote, properly managed, responsible, and accountable. That bill, Mugo, also includes asking those companies to now appoint some kind of liaison officer or a point person in the country. But critics are saying that this is actually sort of a tool for censorship. So again, the situation...
So, apparently they ain't having it. They don't want no government oversight. All right. It got to the point, apparently, they had to start using live rounds, But as the latest that I've seen on this, and this is why I added this into this video, because it just leads me to believe this could have been a test, because last time I checked up on this, it appears they did lift this ban, so that's what leads me to believe, just my vain opinion, that this was a test to see how the people would react. You see, so just with a combination of everything, man, I always say, man, all these beta tests, man, Esau, he's working, all right? He's working. He's doing something, man. He's plotting, planning. He's devising mischief, all right? Eventually they're going to hit the kill switch, all right, then to switch over to this digital system. So, hey, like I said, man, it just has me thinking, because I mentioned, like how I mentioned, when they hit that kill switch, you wake up and you now have access to your money. Well, that applies to us too. That's why the just are going to have to live by faith. We don't know what we're going to do, but like I said, the Yahweh Shema Shai, he made promises, So somehow, some way, Yahweh Shema Shai, he's already got it worked out. He's already got it worked out on the behalf of his elect. But, it's just a lot of shady shit going on. Esau, he's plotting, man. He's planning. He's devising. So, just staying ready, as brothers say, so we won't have to be ready, Lord willing. This was edifying. All praises to Yahweh Shema Shai. Shalom to you, hopefully elect.